Did you know you can book flights with Delta, United, and American Airlines using Capital One miles? I'm Christina, the Point Savvy Traveler, and I recently had a follower ask how to use Capital One miles to book flights without having to pay the high taxes and fees that we're seeing so much of right now. And honestly, it's a great question because here's the catch. Capital One doesn't have direct domestic airline transfer partners. But there is a way that you can still book flights on airlines like Delta, United, and American using Capital One miles. Here's how. You can transfer your Capital One miles to airline alliance partners of those airlines that I just mentioned and then book domestic flights, sometimes for even less miles than booking through the domestic airline directly. Let me explain. Let's say that you want to fly Delta. You can book Delta flights through one of the airlines that's part of the SkyTeam Alliance, such as Virgin Atlantic. For instance, take this flight. From Los Angeles to Las Vegas, you could transfer Capital One miles to Virgin Atlantic to book this flight through Virgin Atlantic, and it would cost 7,500 miles plus $6 taxes and fees. It would actually cost you 10,500 Sky Miles to book the same flight through Delta. So because Virgin Atlantic is a transfer partner of Capital One, you're able to use your Capital One miles and transfer them to Virgin Atlantic, who is an alliance partner with Delta under the SkyTeam Alliance, and then book Delta flights through Virgin Atlantic. You want to fly United? You can book flights through the partner airlines in the Star Alliance network, such as Air Canada through Aeroplan and Avianca Life Miles, which are both transfer partners of Capital One. For instance, here's a flight flying on Avianca using Life Miles from Washington Dulles to Myrtle Beach. United Airlines flight here, and it would only cost you 12,100 Life Miles plus $5.60 taxes and fees. How about American Airlines? You can book some American Airlines flights through British Airways as they are both part of the One World Alliance. And since British Airways is a transfer partner of Capital One, this is how you can book some American Airlines flights using your Capital One miles. Now, it's important to know that airlines release limited partner award space to their airline alliance partners, so this does not work with every single flight. A trick to finding these partner flights is to search routes through airline hubs. For example, you'll usually have better luck finding Delta availability through partners like Virgin Atlantic if your flight is departing from or arriving to a Delta hub. I know it's a little bit of a points or miles shuffle, but once you understand how airline alliances work, you can successfully use your Capital One miles to book domestic flights through alliance partners, sometimes for even less miles, while still keeping the taxes and fees to a minimum. I hope this was helpful. If so, make sure you're following me for more travel and credit card tips so that you can travel better for less.